Hi guys, welcome to another reading vlog. Alright, excuse my sort of messy appearance. I just got home from work. It's Wednesday, and I'm currently listening to The Bad Muslim Discount, and I am reading physically Legendborn. So I'm currently loving both of these reads. The narrators for The Bad Muslim Discount are so good, and Legendborn, I'm like finally getting like invested in what's going on. There was a lot of sort of, I don't want to say info dumping because I know that has like the negative connotation, but like there's a lot of lore and backstory to kind of catch you, the reader, up on. And I think Tracy Deonn did a good job of kind of having Bree as sort of the audience proxy in that circumstance where she doesn't know anything, so these characters around her are, of course, explaining everything to her, and it just sort of unfolds pretty naturally, and it's not like all at once either. So I think they're doing a pretty good job of sort of unveiling things as it's important. I'm 142 pages into this, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but if you don't know what Legendborn is about, it follows this girl named Bree. She lives in North Carolina. She's 16 years old, and she got accepted into sort of like an early college program at North Carolina State. And she applied to this program without telling her parents about it because she knew they'd be kind of upset. Her and her mom get in this big fight about it. Then her mom goes off and she gets in a car accident and unfortunately passes away. So the beginning of this novel, especially so far, has dealt with a lot of Bree's grief and how it has like fundamentally changed her as a person. So she's mourning like the loss of her mother and also the loss of like who she used to be. She's just feeling like very isolated. So she ends up on her first night at the university going to this party at like a quarry with a bunch of other people in her program, as well as some older students, and she witnesses something crazy. She sees what she believes to be magic and these two other students fighting like a monster, and she doesn't know what's going on. One of the students tries to like cast a spell on her to make her forget, but she doesn't. And she eventually comes to find out that these students are part of a secret society known as the Order of the Round Table, and there's a lot going on with this order, like structurally, and that's all just sort of getting revealed to me now. But sort of the crux of this order are the Legendborn, and they are basically descendants of Knights of the Round Table, and they are tasked with fighting demons and keeping humanity safe. And some of the descendants are known as scions, and basically they're sort of like the most powerful descendant in that in times of extreme danger, the spirits of the knights that they're descendant from can call upon them and like lend them their power, basically. So she ends up sort of getting involved with this guy named Nick, and he is the scion of King Arthur. And the reason she's involved in all of this is because she thinks these demons had something to do with her mother's death. The night her mom passed away, she remembered seeing some of this magic, and a police officer, who she now believes was a mage, tries to make her forget something about that night. And they weren't allowed to see the body or anything, so there's a very like interesting mystery at the center of all of this, and there's also some really great characters. I love Bree. She feels so real, just like the daily things she deals with, both like with grief. As I've talked about before, I have lost my father in the last couple of years, and some of the things she touches upon are like so real. It's weird to feel like so seen by that, because like grief is not a unique thing to experience. You know, everybody goes through it eventually. And I'm not nearly as young as Bree is when she lost her parent, but it's still hard, especially when your parent passes away way before you expect them to. So that part hits really hard. So if you have any sort of sensitivity to that, I would maybe go into this prepared. And it also deals with, like, as a white person, something I don't think about. Bree lives in the South, and she's a black young woman, and she constantly finds herself in these places, in these situations that she recognizes she was never meant to be in. So like she walks into a building that was built during the Confederacy, and she can't help but think about the fact that the people that built these buildings, or the people that these buildings are dedicated to, are people who actively fought against her rights and her ancestors' rights and stuff. And so she ends up getting involved with this Order of the Round Table, which is a historically white organization, and she ends up in sort of this initiate tournament class thing, and literally one of the Legendborn goes, oh, and this is our most diverse year, and she's literally the only person of color there. So it's wild. So she feels like such a real person. I'm really blown away. I'm pretty sure this is a debut. It's amazing. And then some of the other characters she interacts with. Again, don't want to get into too much detail about where I think this is going, because spoilers, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a love triangle, and I'm excited. Normally I'm kind of annoyed by them, but I think the characters I just love so much. I think it's gonna be so juicy. So I'm loving this read so far, and I cannot wait to get more into it. And then Bad Muslim Discount. I've been listening to this on audio, and I've been trying to keep track of, like, page-wise where I'm at, so let me just see. Okay, so I'm on page 85, which isn't, like, too far in, but this is not the longest book in the world. It's just over 300 pages. So I'm getting there, and this story focuses on two different people. First, we have Anwar, and he was born in Karachi, Pakistan, and lives there until he's about 11 or 12. And this takes place kind of like in the mid to early 90s. So his family is Muslim, but his father is really into like Western culture and appreciates Western music and movies and stuff like that. So as the rise of like very extremist Islamic groups starts to like occur in Karachi, his father gets pretty worried about like what that means for his family, because they're a rather moderate Muslim family, and eventually decides to move his family to California. So we follow Anwar, and his perspective is so charming. Like, he's very funny, and we see him grow up to a young man. Where I'm at right now, he's in college in San Francisco. He's so funny. He's got this sort of like irreverent kind of humor towards his parents, but his relationship with them is just so funny and charming. He's not as close with his mom as he is with his father, but like their dynamic in their exchanges always bring a smile to my face. Anwar is also really close with his Nani John, which is his grandmother who still lives in Karachi, and their relationship is just so touching. So his perspective gives me like the warm fuzzies, and I don't know where it's going, but I'm enjoying the ride. It kind of has like a Master of None sort of vibe to it. But then the other perspective we follow is this young woman named Safwa. She lives in Baghdad in the early 2000s. So she is experiencing a lot of turmoil in her community. At the very beginning of the book, she loses her mother to cancer. Shortly after, her brother ends up getting very sick with a blood disease that requires dialysis. And on top of that, they're living in the middle of a war zone. Her father lost his job at the factory because it got blown up, so they can barely afford her brother's medication. Her father ends up going missing, and she's just like, she's so trapped by her situation, and it's so tragic. And like all she's known is loss and suffering. And literally at one point, her father is like, are you daydreaming again, Safwa? And she's like, what use is daydreaming to a girl like me? Like, and it's just so sad. So it's like emotional whiplash going back and forth between these two perspectives. And I believe she ends up finding her way to America as well. And I'm pretty sure her and Anwar's paths cross, but I'm not quite sure how we're getting there just yet, because again, she's still in the middle of this horrible situation in Baghdad. So yeah, it's very interesting so far. This is an Own Voices novel, so Syed M. Massoud, I think, does a really good job of kind of portraying Islam in sort of a variety of ways, because it's not just one sort of idea. It's not just one single-minded group of people. Just like Christianity or anything else, there's a spectrum. So, yeah, and just like the cultural perspectives we get in this are really interesting as well. So I'm really enjoying this so far. Again, the narrators are fabulous. Anwar especially, I really like. So yeah, this has been a really good reading week so far, which is really nice after last weekend kind of suffering through My Heart is a Chainsaw. I was worried I was going to be kind of in a bit of a reading slump, because I had a really hard time picking up Legendborn. I wanted to start it Sunday, but I was not feeling it. I was just like, I need a break from reading. I was really scared that I was gonna kind of start into a slump. So I started Legendborn this week, and I'm so glad. It's just what I needed. So yeah, 2 awesome reads are exactly what I needed this week. I feel a little rejuvenated in that way. So right now, I'm gonna go take a shower, And then I gotta edit last week's vlog. And then I'm gonna try to read for the rest of the night. I'm really invested in Legendborn right now, so I'm hoping to read a little bit more tonight, and I will update you guys as I go along. This timeline is atrocious. Look at all these clips. Dear Lord. Hi guys, so I've read about 70 more pages of Legendborn. It's so good. Oh my gosh, if you like competition tournament style like fantasy YA, definitely recommend this. There's a really cool, again, competition element where Bree and several other people are pages and they're competing to be the Legendborn squires. And it's just so cool. There's a lot of really cool action and so much mystery. There's like so many layers. It's so well done. I'm blown away at how awesome and intriguing this book is. And the relationships are developing in like a really fun way. Bree and Nick especially, like, I love the way they interact. They're just like so open and vulnerable with each other and so communicative about what's going on and their feelings, and that's really refreshing to see because I feel like miscommunication is a big thing in especially YA as like a source of conflict. So it's nice to see intrigue kind of drawn out in a different way than that, because I feel like that can be kind of like low-hanging fruit sometimes. So this is so fun. I'm enjoying this immensely, and unfortunately I have to go to bed now. I want to keep reading this all night, but I can't, so until tomorrow. So I ordered this board game called Carcassonne, and it's like a tile-based game, and you have to like build fortresses or something, or a new landscape. Yeah, and you get points for like the things you build. And it seems really cute. My boyfriend and I really like board games, and we've been looking for a couple more that we can play just with the two of us. This is 2 to 5 players, I believe. Yeah. So this seems really cool, and I've heard good things about it. And I like the medieval sort of setting. That's fun. So yeah, I'm excited to play this. Hopefully I can get him to play it this weekend with me. And then I got this, A Winter's Promise by Christelle Debose. I believe this was translated from French. I've heard really good things. The covers are gorgeous. I went on kind of like a rough day used book buying binge, and this is the only book I bought new because the paperback was already a pretty good price. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I believe this is sort of not a portal fantasy, but like a girl, she can like travel through mirrors. But it seems really cool. It seems like a cool like political fantasy. and I've heard good things about it. I believe it's a quartet, so the first 3 I think are out, but I don't think the 4th one is yet. So seems really cool. I don't know when I'm gonna get to this, but it's been on my book wish list for a really long time. Hello! So, it is Thursday afternoon. I am off of work. It's actually almost 7 o'clock to finish editing my video and schedule it for tomorrow and do the thumbnail and stuff. So, I haven't had a chance to read it all today because I was working and then doing that, but I'm still reading Legendborn. I am on page 217, chapter 25. So I'm really liking it so far. I don't have any other plans for the rest of the evening, so I'm gonna continue reading this and hopefully get another good chunk of the way through. This guy's pretty hefty. It's just shy of 500 pages, which I feel like is kind of a lot for a YA. So really excited to keep going with it. I'm enjoying it so much so far, so I'm going to eat some dinner, maybe make some tea, and get cozy reading this. Hi guys! Happy Friday! I'm on my lunch break at work right now, but I just wanted to give you a quick update. I read up to page 362 last night in Legendborn. I am so close to the end and it's so good! I literally stayed up so late last night reading it and I'm like so desperate to finish it, and like I literally left off right at a huge plot twist and I think I know what's coming. But man, am I excited for it. So safe to say that I am loving this book so far. Like literally, unless Tracy Deonn does not stick the landing, which I doubt. I already know this is getting 5 stars because it's just been so fun. And I've spoken about it before, but I love all of the characters in this. They feel so like fleshed out and real, especially our main character, Bree. Just even the little details of her going throughout her day and like how she takes care of her hair and like just like the small things you don't think about in like, I don't know, this book is just so packed with detail about her life and it makes her feel so real. And I also really love the 2 other main characters in this book who are sort of love interests. There's a bit of a love triangle going on, which I love. It's so fun. And I was speaking to my best friend about it this morning and I'm like, I just realized their names are Nick and Selwyn. I'm like, I just realized Nick and Selwyn are literally like 18-year-old Thor and Loki. They just have like that same dynamic where they're like, they were raised as siblings and they have like a lot of love, but there's also a lot of resentment between the two, and one is like golden boy warrior, everyone loves and respects, and the other is like broody magician kind. It's just perfect. Like when I had that realization, I was like, oh my god. Not to say that they're not like their own characters, they definitely are. Again, Tracy Deonn does such a good job with the characters in this book, and like I legitimately care about all of them. So again, I'm just so impressed that this is a debut novel, and I'm already like so excited to finish it, and I already cannot wait for the next book to come out. I've already been googling, I'm like, when does Legendborn 2 come out? How many books are in the Legendborn series? Like, I'm obsessed, and I literally cannot stop talking about it. I'm sure my boyfriend and my best friend are a little annoyed by now. But again, I just love it so much. I'm having so much fun reading it, and I'm definitely gonna try to finish this tonight after work. It's Friday, I have no other plans. But yeah, so I'm so looking forward to finishing this up this evening and giving you my final thoughts. Again, really loving it so far, and already, again, not finished, but I already recommend this to everybody that likes fantasy. Even for a fantasy that is so rooted in reality, like this takes place in our own world on a college campus in North Carolina, there's so much world building and detail put into this whole secret society of the Order of the Round Table, and I'm just so impressed. It really feels so magical. Ow. Oh my god. I finished Legendborn. I am unwell. This is like the easiest 5 stars rating I've ever given a book. This was so freaking good. I am blown away. I know I've said it already, but like I cannot believe this is a debut fantasy novel. It was freaking spectacular. I don't even know where to start. It was so good. Literally the third act, I could not put this book down. I read the last like 150 pages in one sitting. I got literal chills. I teared up. It was like the stakes were so high and it was done so well. This honestly doesn't feel like a YA novel in that like it got kind of dark at the end. Not that it feels like full-blown adult fantasy or anything. It sort of lies in that middle ground of like what I feel like is new adult. Speaking of that, I guess like literally the only critique I have for this book, and it really it's not even worth docking it any stars, is that I don't quite understand why Bree is 16. She's already at college. Like it just seemed more complicated to kind of come up with this like early college program to justify a 16-year-old being on a college campus. Like she could have just been 18. They like literally would not have changed the story. So other than that, this book was pretty much perfect. The characters, again, I've spoken about that a million times in this vlog already. So well done. I legitimately cared about everybody. Even some of like the peripheral characters that sort of fleshed out the Order of the Round Table. There's this final really big scene. And again, the stakes are just so high. And I was like holding my breath like, oh my god. It was so intense. So again, easiest 5-star rating I've ever given. I think this is already, I know at the end of the year, this is gonna be on my favorite books list for the year. I regret not reading this sooner, but I'm honestly so happy I've read it now. I've been kind of going through, not quite a slump, but I feel like I haven't really read a book that's truly excited me in a while, and this book was nothing if not exciting. So definitely recommend if you like fantasy at all. Even if you don't like fantasy, try this book out. It's so good. It's rooted in reality, so it doesn't take place in like a fictional setting or anything. It takes place in North Carolina. I struggle to kind of categorize this as urban fantasy because it doesn't feel like urban. It takes place on a college campus, but that's sort of the phrase used for fantasy that takes place in the real world. Anywho, I don't know what else to say about this book. It was phenomenal. Pick it up, read it. It's so good. There's so much good lore involving King Arthur and his knights and history, and I've loved that kind of stuff since I was a kid. So to see an adaptation really nail it in that, like, it makes it its own, but really holds true to, like, I think the spirit of the Arthurian legends, I think is so impressive. I think it can be really hard to do. We've seen quite a few Hollywood movies try to adapt King Arthur and fail. So this book just did such an impressive job with the lore and making it a story that, like, I was so invested in and rooting for the characters. And I've spoken before, there's a real juicy love triangle, if that's sort of your thing. I was invested. But yeah, so, gosh, it's Friday. It's only 8 o'clock. I haven't eaten dinner yet because I was reading this book and I was obsessed. So I guess I'm gonna eat, maybe watch some YouTube. But yeah, I don't really quite know what my reading plans for the rest of the weekend are. I am currently still listening to The Bad Muslim Discount on audio, and I'm enjoying the audiobook so far, but I've only been listening to it when I drive into work because it's about a 45-minute commute for me. And Thursdays and Fridays I work from home, so I haven't listened to it in a couple of days. And I haven't really found a way to work in audiobooks into my, like, home routine very well, other than, like, when I go on walks, and the weather this weekend's really crappy. So I don't know if I'm going to continue that or pick up something else. I also have a rather large stack of graphic novels to get through, so maybe I'll read some of those and knock them out. I don't know what to follow this up with, because this is an instant favorite, so anything I read after that is gonna just be disappointing. Please read this book. It's so good. Hey Google, play Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Flappy Bird and Captain America.
Oh my god. There's so many. Hello friends, happy Saturday. My boyfriend and I went out for an impromptu sort of shopping trip. We had to get some groceries, but we stopped at a local store. It's a chain of stores in Maine called Martin's, and they do, like, Martin's is hard to describe. Zach and I refer to it as a big old yard sale. You never know what you're gonna find, but they buy, like, bulk items from other retailers, like returned stuff from Amazon. I've found art stuff from a store from, like, Kentucky or something that was hit by a tornado. They just, like, they buy all these salvaged goods basically, and sometimes they have a ton of books. And so we kind of went there on a whim today, and I was gonna check out the art section again, and they didn't have quite as much as they did last time we went, but my boyfriend found the book aisle. And oh my gosh, I was gonna just haul them all here, but honestly it's so many, I think I'm just gonna do a separate video for them. I got 10 books and graphic novels. The graphic novel, the hardcover one, was the most expensive. It was $12 because that wasn't on sale, but everything else was 70% off list price. The Hank Green one was actually already, it had a bargain sticker on it from, like, Books A Million or something, so that was already marked down to $6, and it was 70% off in addition to that. So each of these were only like $5 or $6 each, so it was an amazing find today. So I'm also still coming down from sort of my Legendborn high. I don't really quite know what to follow it up with, but I have this big ol' stack of unread graphic novels. So I think I'm gonna spend some time today kind of trying to get through some of these, because they've been sitting on my shelf for a while now. And I want to get through some because I've been collecting them, but I haven't been reading them. So I think that's what I'm gonna spend the rest of the evening doing. Really? While I'm trying to film? So I know I definitely want to read these two. I've heard excellent things about this one, and I just picked this one up today, and the artwork is beautiful. And I want to try to get through a couple others. I feel like I should probably read another volume of Saga. But then I also have Lumberjanes, Paper Girls, The Wicked and the Divine, Empire, a Thor graphic novel, this standalone called Orpheus. This guy's a little intimidating. I don't know if I'm going to get to this one today, but it's On a Sunbeam, which I've heard excellent things about. And then I picked up this one today as well, Heartstopper, which is another really popular one. And I believe there's 3 volumes out right now, but I have also noticed it on Webtoon. So, yeah, I don't know, so many options. I'm overwhelmed. Hi guys, so it's Sunday, and after my sort of little book haul yesterday, I decided I need a new bookshelf. I've been kind of out of room for a while, and I've been trying to manage it as best as I can, but it's just getting to the point where like I have no room left. And book buying is a hobby of mine. It brings me joy. So I don't want to stop, especially when I find like books that I really want to read for a really good price that I probably won't find again. So I'm going out today. I've looked on Amazon a bit too, so I've got kind of like a backup, but if I can find something locally that I can do like today, that'd be nice. Yeah, so my boyfriend and I have 2 side tables by our bed that I think we're going to replace with matching bookshelves because he needs more storage space too. So I figured this is a good way to kind of work with the space that we have and just kind of make that space more functional for us, because the side tables really aren't working in general, and I think bookshelves would better suit our needs. So I'm gonna go out on a little adventure today. I'll bring you guys along, and yeah, so it's exciting. Bookshelf shopping, yay! Hi friends, it's Thursday, so it's been a couple days since I last updated you. I'm sitting in front of my new bookshelf. It's a little dark so you can't quite see it, but I'm loving it so far. It has really helped my organization. My TBR shelf is finally just my TBR shelf and it's not overflowing. My graphic novels are up here now. My sort of TBR of the month is up here, as well as my Harry Potter collection and my romance books. So I'm really loving it so far, and it's made my room look a lot nicer too, so loving that. So obviously it's been a couple days since I last updated you, but it's been a really busy week, and I just got my first COVID shot yesterday, and gotta be honest, not feeling 100%. I've heard that the second shot for Moderna is kind of what kicks you in the butt, so I wasn't really worried about the first one. Like, I knew my arm was gonna hurt, but today I'm just so tired and my body aches, and I've been going back and forth between feeling like kind of feverish and kind of chilly. But yeah, so I gotta wrap up this vlog real fast. As you know, I finished Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing, one of my favorite reads of the year so far. I'm so incredibly hyped for the next book, and there's like no information out on, like, there's not even a title or a release date yet. I'm dying. I'm obsessed. But it's kind of fun picking up a series like where it's just the first book and you have to wait. It makes me kind of nostalgic for when I was a kid and like the Percy Jackson books were coming out or the Harry Potter books were coming out. And yeah, so I'm just so used to binge reading like a whole series now, because I feel like there's a bunch of books I have to catch up on because I haven't been as quite an avid reader the last few years of my life. So loved this book. Definitely recommend everyone go read it. It's phenomenal. I also just finished The Bad Muslim Discount yesterday, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to rate this yet. It's somewhere between a 3 and a 4 for me. Right now I have it as a 3 on Goodreads. I might bump it up. I'm not sure. And it's kind of hard to talk about because religion is a really touchy, nuanced thing. And I am not Muslim. I don't know a lot about Islam. So I have a hard time like talking about it with any sort of note of certainty, and I want to be delicate. And in this novel, our two main characters are both sort of estranged from their religion and their communities and stuff for various reasons. And I have seen a couple of reviews mention that like sort of the more traditionally practicing Muslims are portrayed in a really bad light, and I can see where they're coming from with that, but I do think the author is offering a couple different perspectives of Islam. But I did enjoy it, and I thought Anvar and Safwa's stories were so good and so harrowing at times. This book does start in the 90s, but it kind of follows the characters as they grow up and ends around the 2016 election. So I was reading that part and I was like, too soon still. So if that part of history gives you anxiety, just know that it's mentioned a lot towards the end of this book. Yeah, so it's a political book. It discusses Islam and portrays it in a variety of lights. So if that's not something you'd enjoy, I would avoid it. But I think if you're looking for an interesting sort of cultural perspective, it's worth a read, and I really enjoyed it. I also read a couple graphic novels last weekend because I've been falling behind on those. Like, I've been buying them, but I haven't been reading them because I've been trying to prioritize my more like actual books for my TBR to get those done. So I took some time this weekend to read some graphic novels, and one of the ones I picked up was one that I bought at Martin's, also in this vlog, and that is The Golden Age. It's this beautiful hardcover graphic novel, and the art is stunning. Oh god, it's just so pretty. And like the hues, the color story from the beginning to end, it's just so beautiful. But yeah, it's translated from French, and it tells the story of this Princess Tilda whose father just passed away, and she is next in line to take over the throne. But right as she's about to do so, her younger brother and politicians who sort of manipulate him basically usurp her and run her out of the kingdom. So she runs away with a few loyal men and is trying to sort of gather support in the countryside to fight and win her throne back. But there's also this resistance rising in the peasant class where, you know, they all want to be part of a society where everyone's equal and they all like share resources and stuff. It's no longer like lords and serfs. So there's this basically political revolt happening, and our main character is kind of at odds with that philosophy. She wants to help her people, but she also wants to maintain the power structure, the status quo. I'm not really quite sure where the story is going. I'm intrigued to keep reading it. This is normally $30 and I got it for $12. So if I find volume 2 for a pretty good price, I'll definitely pick it up because I want to see where it goes. But I feel like not a whole lot happened in this story or in this volume. So I give this one 3 stars. Again, stunning art, just kind of waiting for a little bit more plot development. I've also been trying to get more into Marvel comics, and in my very first Shop With Me vlog, I went to Newberry Comics and picked up The Strange Academy Volume 1, and this is the only volume that's out right now. It just came out, I believe, last year. And it's basically about Doctor Strange establishing this school for young sorcerers. And there's a couple kids from Asgard, there's a zombie girl, there's a demon, the son of Dormammu. If you've seen Doctor Strange, he's the giant baddie at the end. His name's Doyle, he's a student. And then you have a frost giant. You just have like this really cool cast of characters. And our main student is sort of this girl, Emily Bright, who seems very normal on the outside. She's a human, she was raised on Earth in a very normal family, she just has these strange powers. So she's kind of trying to unlock her potential, and everyone there is trying to learn how to control their powers, and it's overseen by Doctor Strange and a few other teachers. And you have sort of like adjunct professors who kind of make these cameos, like Scarlet Witch. So it was really fun, and like learning about all the kids was a lot of fun. They all have very distinct personalities, and watching them kind of interact was, again, fun. And I think there's a lot of potential for this to be a really awesome story. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I definitely recommend this if you want Marvel, if you want to like dip your toes into Marvel without like getting so overwhelmed with where to start. This is a good new release that's not like too much at once, and it deals with kind of like a new cast of characters with some peripheral characters that you'll recognize, so it makes it feel a little bit more familiar. And then finally, I read Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. I have heard a lot about this graphic novel. It's a booktube darling. Everyone that I've seen talk about it absolutely loves it. And this follows Nick and Charlie. And Charlie is out at his school. He was outed on accident, but he's since dealt with that, and he's grown a lot in the last year. He overcame a really bad bullying situation, and he ends up becoming friends with this boy Nick, who's a year older. Nick is on the rugby team, he's really popular, and they sit next together in what I think is like a homeroom sort of class. This takes place in England, so I'm not totally sure, but they really get along very well, and they start to become like best friends, and Charlie develops a crush on Nick, which he can't help, but he's also like, oh, I fell for a straight boy, so he's really distressed about this at the same time, but he cares for Nick so much that like he just can't step away to protect his feelings. Meanwhile, Nick is sort of developing feelings for Charlie that he's never felt for another boy, and so he's really exploring like what his own sexuality is and what his feelings for Charlie truly are. And this is just so warm and fluffy. It was so cute. The art is just so cute. And it's got a very simple color palette, but it works, and it made my heart so like full to read this adorable little love story. And I've since started reading the volumes on Webtoon as well. I do plan to pick up the actual published volumes. I believe the first 3 are out right now. I got this on sale as well at Martin's for $6. So next time I go to my local bookstore, I know they carry these. I'll pick up volumes 2 and 3 because they're so cute. And after reading it on Webtoon, I do know it does get a little darker. There's a little more like triggers beyond just like bullying and homophobia. One of the characters deals with like an eating disorder and depression and self-harm. So that's kind of just, trigger warning. This is really cute, but it does have kind of a lot of depth to it, and it explores a lot of triggering things as well. So just a warning. I do really like this first volume though, and for the most part this first volume is pure fluff. Alright, and that wraps up my reading for the last week. This turned into a full-blown like week-long vlog on accident. I usually try to keep it from like Thursday to Sunday. But again, I didn't have time to sit down and wrap up this video, so I got a bit more reading done than I expected. I'm currently working on the rest of my monthly TBR. and hopefully I will have that done. I have 3 more books to read. I just started A Witch in Time, and that's okay so far. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it quite yet. And then I also have The Mothers by Britt Bennett and Master of One. I'm really excited for both of those books, and hopefully, I feel like my pace has been a little slow this month just because of a bunch of other things going on, and I'm coming home from work really tired. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. It's been a lot of fun filming these and trying out kind of new settings and new formats. Let me know if you enjoy these vlogs or if you prefer my regular videos. See what I can do. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to follow my socials linked below, and have a wonderful day. Bye.